Okay, well, welcome to week 5. We are going to finish up chapter 8 this week. And the very first we're going to start with is 8.7, which is called aggregation. And they have a very good example in the book. And basically, what they say is aggregation is a bunch of things kind of put together to make one big thing. For example, we have a house. Well, inside the house, we have a master bedroom. We have a bedroom. We have a bathroom. We have a kitchen. We have a garage. And each one of those, think of it as being an object to where each one has its own instance variables and different methods because they each do a different thing, have a different purpose. So if you look at the example, basically on page 520, and it kind of goes on from there. So the first thing we have is this class called instructor. And if we take a look at instructor, it basically has some instance variables. We have a last name, a first name, and an office number. And so there they are. They're all private. Again, we want to control them via the getters and setters or constructor or some other method. We do not want to give people access to these. So here we have, looks like we have we have two constructors. One is overloaded of the other. So here we are, we have the first instructor, and it has a signature of string, string, string. And then we have another constructor, which basically has instructor, and we're passing an instructor object. We kind of saw that at the first half of chapter 8 towards the end. So if we have a signature of string, 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 that means it's a last name, first name, and the office. And we go ahead and load those instance variables. If we're passing in an instructor object, we go ahead and say the last name is equal to the object.last name, first is object.first name. So kind of same thing we saw kind of towards the tail end of week 4. So here we've got a set. So here's just a set. And this is kind of wild. This is a set that does all of the fields. So last name, first name, and office. And then we have our toString where we can actually say print instructor, and this is basically what it will print. Okay, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is textbook. And if we bring that up, we basically have our 3 instance variables of title, author, and publisher. And again, here we have a constructor of 3 strings, which is the text title, the author, and the publisher. We also have another constructor where it's overloaded, and it basically is bringing in a textbook object, and again it's doing the same thing. We also have a set method there as well where it sets all 3, and there is our toString. And the last thing we have is, our last class we're going to deal with is the course, and there we have course name, instructor, and textbook. And this one's a little different. We have our string, instructor, and textbook. This is a little different. So here this class is using the other 2 classes to basically bring things in. So we're bringing in the name of the course, and then we get the instructor class, and we get the textbook class. And we have course name, and then we say instructor equals new instructor, and textbook equals new textbook. So there, if you look, our instance variables are a string, object, object. Pretty cool. So here's where we set those 3. And then we have get name of the course name. We have the instructor, get instructor. And we have textbook, get textbook. So there it looks like we're going to go return a new. So here's where we go ahead and create the object. But down here in the getter is where we go ahead and instantiate it. And that gets called basic, or we can actually instantiate it here within the constructor as well. And then we have a toString at the end. So if we go ahead and take a look at the course demo, which is basically the main that brings us all together, here we have our instructor equals my instructor, and it equals new instructor, Kramer, Sean, and then the course name. So we're going to basically have the signature of string, string, string. And here's our textbook, and it's a new textbook, and again, string, string, string. And then we have course, my course equals intro to Java, my instructor, my textbook. So I'm taking these first two objects and passing those right on in to the third one. So it's basically what's called aggregation. So, and then we go ahead and say sys out, print line, my course, and obviously it prints everything all out. So if we go ahead and run this, and in the console it basically, so again, if we take a look at the course Java, there it basically prints out the course name, and it gets that from obvious up here, instructor, and basically returns it a string. So again, it's kind of utilizing the other two classes to get that information. So so pretty cool. Course name, instructor, last name, first name, office number, textbook information, a title, author, and publisher. Kind of all basically, again, and it's kind of cool. We kind of take multiple classes, kind of put them together into one class, kind of like a house. Okay, so that's basically the kind of the basis of aggregation. And on page 527, it talks about security issues with the aggregate classes. And when writing an aggregate class, you should be careful not to unintentionally create security holes that can allow code outside the class modify private data inside of the class. So again, when we basically have fields locked down that we don't want people to get access to, we just want them to have access within that class. Well, now that we have an aggregator where it basically is a class inside of a class, that outside class now has access to some of those different fields. Just some things you want to kind of pay close attention to. One thing I do want to talk about is on page 527, and that's basically the UML drawing. And basically what they have is here's 1, 2, and here's 3 classes, and we basically have all these classes all basically all connected together, except when it comes up to this guy, we now have a diamond. We just don't go straight into it. And what a diamond is, what I want you to think of that is, I want you to think of that as has-a, H-A-S-A, has-a. So here we have, this is our course, and here is our textbook, and over here is our instructor. So if we look at this, here we have a course, and it has a textbook, and a course has an instructor. So when you see the diamond, that means these other two items are included in this other class. So has a. So pretty slick stuff there, not too bad. So I now know that when I see this diamond, I know that these two will be included inside of this. Okay, so that's basically what that means. So kind of getting back to our code, that's where we have instructor and textbook are now instance variables or instance classes within this class. So has-a. So not too bad. Let's go ahead and break right there, and we will go ahead and continue on page 529, talking about null references.